Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rock and Roll channel. It's WrestleMania week, but we're not going to talk about WrestleMania today. I just wanted to jump on for a little bit. And if I have Wi-Fi issues, I don't know what's going on. It's working everywhere. Uh, the company says they have had some outages in the area, so hopefully they're still working on that. But regardless of my Wi-Fi, I really wanted to touch base with you guys today and talk about the Bray Wyatt documentary that just aired on Peacock, started this morning. And what a documentary. I mean, they hit it out of the park. And I hate to say that because something so sad, I mean, it's going to hit you one way or another. But I just wanted to talk about the documentary and my experiences with Bray Wyatt, my some memories I have. Like I said, I wasn't planning on coming on talking about this today. I figured I'd just watch it and talk to my buddy, who's I think is watching right now, John, and just recap it a little bit. But I was so moved by it, which I should have known was going to happen, that I wanted to come here and just talk about it a little bit. So, um, my history with Bray was I was there when the Nexus debuted, when they destroyed John Cena that night at Raw in Miami 2010. Bray was in that group. He was known then as Husky Harris, which is in the documentary. I'm not going to do an outline there, but it was just cool to say I was there. And then he fizzled out his for whatever reason. Went back to SCW and came up with the Bray Wyatt idea, and I love how they delved into that. He um, played off an old WWE character, Waylon Mercy. That was the inspiration behind the character. And years ago, I was at 11 years ago. I was at FCW show. I think now, no, then it became an NXT show in where were we? Immokalee, Florida, which is out near Naples. I'd say about 80 miles from where I live in Fort Lauderdale, in the Sunrise area. And it was about middle of the show, and I had heard about this Wyatt family group, and I knew the guy who used to be Husky Harris was the leader. And I said, "Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad they're going to be there." All of a sudden, their music hits, and my friends and we were right by the entrance, and they came out. And Bray obviously was in the front. He's the leader, with his two huge partners. But we saw him, and instantly, it wasn't one of those, "Oh, I saw a match," and I'm not bragging here. It wasn't one of those, man. It took a little bit, but I got to know him and like him. No, like instantly, you knew like this guy is special. He just had that way, and they talked about it in the documentary of just the way he was able to reel people in. He just had this unbelievable charisma like that. So we were blown away that night. An amazing match. It was fantastic. And then I actually happened to go to an NXT show the next night. I used to go to shows all the time. The next night in West Palm Beach, and they were on the card there as well. And I think one point during intermission, I go to the bathroom and I hear a voice go, "Hey, man." It was Bray saying hi to all the fans in the bathroom because he's just that nice of a guy. But that next night was the first time I saw him on the mic live, because the night before he didn't talk, and he just blew away the crowd. He was just so good on the mic. I mean, this was in front of a crowd of 50 people, 40 people. He didn't care. And he just knew that this group is special, and especially him. He's just special. So fast forward about 6 months later, not even, and we hear that they're going to debut on Monday Night Raw. But before that, we got to watch them debut in Fort Lauderdale on a main roster show. They did a little, like, I guess you can call it a soft opening, and we saw them there, a buddy and I, and they were awesome there. They debuted on Raw, took everything by storm like he knew they would. Um, I got to meet him a couple times after, and when I say just the nicest dude, and there's been lots of wrestlers I meet are nice dudes, and I'm not trying to rank them because it's not fair to them, but man, what a nice guy. Super humble, super nice. I mean, it's the type of guy that would just before a show make sure to find time to go talk to fans, and even if it affected his character, that how is he so ominous if he's posing for pictures with his family and spending all his time with fans? He didn't care. That's just his personality, which was awesome. And his brother's the same way. He obviously got it from their parents, who were great people. But as far as the documentary goes, I mean, a lot of stuff I already knew, and most fans will say that, but I definitely learned a lot of stuff today. Stuff I wasn't expecting or even ready for that matter. Yeah, I mean, they talked about some of the significance of the lamp with the Easter eggs. I didn't know he was such a big Easter egg guy, and I wonder if that's one of the reasons why they waited till after the day after Easter to air it. I mean, WWE, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. They talked about that. You heard about the wrestlers talking about him. They delved deep on what really went down at the end, which I wasn't prepared for. I didn't think they would discuss that because it's a private matter. They made it public, and they did it probably for their peace, and also just to any potential internet nonsense about it that was squashed today in that documentary, and I commend them for that. That couldn't have been easy. And I understand what they're talking about. That's for sure. So yeah, in the documentary they talked about even the things when he got frustrated at times in his career. I mean, they really hit every part of his career. And they also talked about the ups and downs. They didn't really just focus on only the good things, because Bray had his ups and downs. There were times he had to leave because they had nothing creatively for him. Obviously, he did a great job reinventing himself, and it was so cool seeing the guy who designed the Fiend outfit featured in it a lot. And Bray, I think they said he was out there 3 or 4 times one year going over outfits and just how attention to detail he was. I mean, usually a lot of the wrestlers, they just give their wardrobe ideas to a designer, and then they say, all right, it'll come in the mail and I'll wear it. No, he was there, hands-on, like designing every detail of it. Unbelievable. There was an awesome scene. And I should write spoilers on this somewhere. But yeah, it was just fantastic. I think if my friend John is in there chiming in somewhere, John's as big a Bray Wyatt fan as you'll ever see or meet. John had a history with him back in FCW as Husky Harris. I see him right there. So I know it was really hard for him to watch that today, but I'm glad he did. I'm glad he saw it before everybody saw it and was talking about it. I'm glad he saw it like beat them to the punch. Let me get this because I'm going to put that there's spoilers here, so in case anyone's watching it and doesn't want to know anything talked about, and I've already done that, unfortunately. Let me just take that off. I'm going to. Never mind. I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so his brother did an amazing job. His family, just everybody. I loved it. I'm going to go watch it again probably after I finish this. I mean, he's one of these talents. One of my favorite lines was, and it was in the trailer too, Alexa Bliss said he changed wrestling. He did. Just the way he talked to the crowd, the way his movements in the ring, he just had an unbelievable ability to draw people in. I mean, I saw him wrestle live many times. It didn't matter. It was a house show, a Raw, a SmackDown, WrestleMania. He had that same charisma every single time. I remember I watched him main event a house show in Tallahassee, Florida. It was him and John Cena. And before the show, I happened to be walking down the street. I went to school, obviously, in Tallahassee, so I wanted to see some of the old area. He was driving by and stopped and waved to like everybody before they came in. That was just, and smiled like the happiest guy. So nice. And then during the match that night, in the middle of the match, he took a microphone and was taking funny shots at Cena, and then took the mic and just hit him in the head, and you heard the mic go. It was just so well done. He's just so charismatic and just so. When he was on, man. I mean, there was nobody like him. And I shudder to think there might not ever be anybody like him. He was never one of those guys that even, yeah, like I said, no one had a bad thing to say about, but he was really one of those guys that sometimes I've heard a lot of people say when it comes to a wrestler, I could take him or leave him. And to me, that's like the worst thing a wrestler can be told. It's one thing if someone says they love you. It's one thing if they hate you. If they say take him or leave him, I'm going to tell this story since John posted about it. But yeah, if they say take him or leave him, man, that means like you don't even like exist to them. But here's I'm gonna put this up in the chat. And I was actually standing right next to John when this happened. This is a great story. So, like I said before, John has like history with Bray. Knew him from FCW. Met him like a year or two before I did. But John and I that night at that Immokalee show said, this group is special. Our other friend at the time said, I don't know. And we told him, you're crazy. 5 months later said, yep, I was wrong. Props to you too. But okay, so Bray would always come over and say hi to John. He always had a thing with John where he'd give him a big hug. Did it at WrestleMania, not during the match, but like at Access. So I guess John wasn't thinking that day, or for whatever reason. Oh, because Kevin Owens did the meet and greet at intermission of that show that night. We had found out he was doing it. So John decided to wear a Kevin Owens shirt instead of a Bray Wyatt shirt. So we were in Fort Myers, Florida, and back then at that arena, when you parked, the wrestlers were literally on the other side of the fence. So you'd park, and then you see them. So we just got there a little early, and we're hanging out. We talked to Paige. We talked to Natty. We talked to a lot of people. We had a good time. Bray pulls up in his truck. And the wrestlers always take a little bit to get out because they want to make sure, A, they have everything, and B, just see how many fans are there. I mean, it's a whole process for them. Bray gets out and starts walking, and I'm wondering why he's not even, like, saying anything to John or going up to John. And he sees John in that shirt and goes, Kevin Owens, huh? And kept going. It was like, we still joke about it to this day. And I have one other story with Bray. WrestleMania weekend in Orlando when he wrestled Orton. A couple of my friends were staying at the same hotel as the wrestlers. And after SmackDown said, let's go. Come back to the hotel with us, hang out, have a drink. And then we figured to do that. And then, and then I was going to say goodbye to them, and I was heading back home after WrestleMania in Orlando. This was 7 years ago. Wow. And they had told me that they had been passing Bray in the hall like 4 or 5 times that day. That it got to the point where they even joked with Bray and said, man, how many times are you going to keep following us? And Bray laughed, and they joked about it. So we're sitting in the lobby that night. And I'm glad John's Kevin Owens shirt story came back to me. This one came back to me. And they said, oh, you again. And Bray came over and said hi and joked around and couldn't have been nicer. And he saw the shirt I was wearing. I guess he really focuses on that stuff because he's a creative mind, and merch is such a big thing in wrestling. It's a way to make a lot of money if done right. And he saw that I happened to be wearing the Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton WrestleMania shirt. And he goes to me, and he has this, voice that's just, super. When he talks, you listen. And he goes to me, man, that's the first time I saw that shirt all weekend. I guess he hadn't seen it yet. I don't know. He said it to me. I don't know if it's true or not, but he had no reason to lie to me. And I was flattered. And he takes a picture with my buddies. So I asked him, can I get one? Since they got one. And he's laughing. He goes, man, you're wearing that shirt, and it's the first time I saw it. Of course I'll take one. He was so nice. And that was the last time I ever talked to him face to face. I'd seen him wrestle a few times after that. And that's when he was starting to have his issues mentally and everything. And so I'll always remember that night in Orlando, how nice he was to us. And he didn't have to be. None of us were like going to go bother him. He came over to us. And yeah, he had interactions with my friends that day, but he didn't have to do that. And we all gave a look like, man, that was just cool. He's just a good person. Besides the fact he's an incredible talent, which I talked about, he's just a good person. And that you remember more down the line than how they were on the mic or in the ring. So I think that's it. I invited my friend John to come on. He didn't want to. I know it was tough for him to watch that today, but I'm just glad like we all now have like a documentary to always go back and remember how special he was. And yeah, there's the negative, not the negative. I don't want to say that. The tough stuff to watch, but down the line, this documentary is going to mean even more as the longer this time passes. So I commend OTB. I commend whoever was behind the making of it. I mean, it had you glued the whole time. If you're a fan of him, you got to watch it. If you weren't a fan but liked the guy, whatever, or didn't know much about the guy, this documentary serves a purpose for everybody. I mean, I can't recommend it enough. They did a great job. When I hang up. When I log off, I'm gonna go watch it again. I'm that into it. I know there's gonna be something I didn't pick up the first time that I'm gonna pick up this time. It's that well done. Bray, you were special. I know your family's gonna keep the torch going. I remember meeting your family on the Jericho cruise and just how awesome they were. And we just had a great talk about you. I remember saying just how awesome you were and how much you look like your mom. And your mom was like, that's my boy. That's my boy. And so that's it. I kind of just rambled, but I just wanted to talk. This is more like venting too. So thank you for the support. Thank you. WrestleMania 40 this week. I was thinking of including in this talk my plans for the weekend, but I'm not going to here. Today it's just about Bray. And take care. I'll talk to you later.